And you are recording.
Thank you. Okay, we're missing Steve. Hi, everybody. What?
Steve said he could.
Yes. We'll just wait one more minute and see if Steve can join us.
Here he is. Is here.
He is?
Yeah, he's in. I can see him on.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, hi, Steve.
Sorry.
Okay, let's get started. Did everybody receive or look into the minutes of the meeting that Nick prepared?
No.
No?
Sorry.
Okay, then we'll postpone if everybody can review the minutes that are online.
Okay.
Okay, Tiger, the floor is yours.
All right, so, well, what do you want? Do you want to do projects? You want to do budget? I think everybody's here for the budget. Tell me what you want.
Let's do the projects first and then move on to the budget.
Okay. What I have is, I'll try to pull this up as well. I had a sheet for everybody.
Okay.
Can I get through one on Wednesday, make sure I do it right, submit it right, and then,
Okay.
is that all right for you?
Yep.
Thanks. I don't want to make a mistake.
Okay.
So let me pull up that document. Yeah.
Is there anybody else online that we're not seeing?
Jim's online.
Kim?
Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing hers yet. I can see Kim's here, so I got
If anybody else shows up.
Andy, Nick, Steve, James, and Kim.
Okay. Is the spreadsheet available online for everybody to see?
Right now,
Okay.
what I can do is I can send it to everybody, or send it to you, you can send it to everybody PDF.
Okay.
Just so, yeah. So, in essence, basically. This is project list for, I do it by calendar year only because most of our work 2 years in the calendar year 24 and calendar year 25. So what you're looking at is calendar year 24. Nearly everything is complete. And if you look at the totals, we had $9.3 million bid, $800,000 contingency. So project totals were about 10.1 million. Final cost 8.992 million. So the difference between final cost and the bid amount, not what was approved project total, but the final cost of the bid amount, we had a positive of $319,000 for calendar year 24. And then if I look down to go into calendar year 25, again, the majority of these projects are complete. We've got a couple that are still working. So I've got Pine Street that's still being worked on. The Waveney Western parking lot is still being worked on. I need the lighting to be finished there. The Playhouse ramp is still being worked on. The Waveney House exterior repairs and Irwin House abatement and demolition. But if I just look at those projects themselves, overall, still what we have out is $11.9 million bid out with $1 million with a contingency for a $12.8 million project total. And we paid out so far 10.2, assuming that the other projects at present will run through to completion without anything being used on contingency. We'll have a give back of around 1.6 million overall between what the bid amount and final cost of the project was. So
Tiger, the 1.6 difference, that's difference bid amount to final cost without contingency.
That's correct. Yeah, I didn't want to come up the works with the contingency in there, because then looks like it's inflated, right? You know, you're adding 10% onto it, and then, oh, look at you, what you're giving back. So I just wanted it to be pure. So it also, if you have a, you know, whatever contingency you use, it kind of shows that we actually got to, you know, work into that, you know, so that's why you see the negative, but every one of the projects, stayed below what the allowable contingency was, and the majority of them were all where we didn't use contingency at all, or didn't have to use contingency at all, so.
That's great.
But yeah, that kind of gives you, and then, you know, I'll start running a similar list for calendar year 26, and onward. I've got only one job out to bid right now, and that's the parking lots of Park Street Playhouse. So directly behind Town Hall, and that's slated to go. That's in the paper right now, and that's slated to come back within a week or two. With the thought that I wanted them to start around March 15, right when hopefully the weather clears, and then I can pave those lots in conjunction with the finishing touches on the alley ramp, that they're doing the final pour on today. So that ramp, excuse me, will be well, actually we probably finished the final pour because the last truck was coming at 11. And they'll finish that today. So then all we're waiting on is for it to be cured, and then put the railing up, and then we can open it up temporarily while we finish the parking lot. So the entrances, as far as the parking and how you approach the ramp and the staircase itself, will be done in the spring when the weather is much more conducive than now. But it'll be open and workable hopefully within a week or so. Just waiting on the final cure of the concrete, and then the rail installation after that. So week or two, depending upon temperatures are killing us right now. So.
And Tiger, can you remind us, so the $1 million contingency that's being unused, is that gonna, I guess, roll over into next year's budget, right?
No, it goes away. So, well, it'll roll back into the accounts that it was there for.
Yeah.
And then if that project is complete, that money rolls back and isn't used. So we don't get to keep it.
Right. And that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So it would, so like the sidewalk and the paving are lumped. So sidewalks and paving are lumped, right? So I get a lump account for, say, $750,000 worth of sidewalks. Well, inside that it's contingency, but then I don't factor in contingency in the $750,000. I factor in just the project itself. So I've got to make each project work within the money. So if I lose, we spend money on one project with contingency, I got to make sure that another project comes in lower so that I hit the number by the end. But then other projects that say were just for one thing, like say the highway department cold storage building, that was one item in the budget. That money, whatever was there, whatever money's left over at the end of that project, rolls. The Board of Finance pulls that back and either uses it for other bonded items future, or goes back if it's a tax supported capital, it rolls back into the general fund. So I don't think we lose it. We didn't use it, so therefore it goes back.
Okay.
If you follow me on that. So that's basically that. And then Ann's already going through that process right now for bonded accounts in the past and tax supported accounts in the past, because that's going to be a question that Todd asks in the next month, is how much do we have where we're going to be looking to close out projects. So therefore how much tax supported capital will go back to the general fund, and then how much bonded wouldn't have been used, and you can use that towards future issuances. So
Exactly.
future authorizations, not issuance.
That's why I'm asking you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at.
Okay, Jen?
So just so to make sure I understood, I was trying to follow. So you were saying that the sidewalks and paving projects are lumped together. So if you are in the black on a particular line for one of the paving projects, you're saying that before it becomes something that you could give back to Board of Finance, and you have to make sure you're looking at the other projects that it's lumped together with, and then after that's all accounted for and complete, then that's the money that you have to.
Yeah, normally never goes back because all I do is make sure that the next request is the net. So whatever the net is, what I need for the year minus what I have is the net. So I've got about $700,000 left over right now in paving. But I need, and I'm asking for 3.5 million, that brings you to 4.2, 4.3. And I've got $4.3 million worth of work outstanding for calendar year 26, not including 2 other roads that I'm looking at doing, Silver Mine and Carter, which would add another $800,000 to it. So I got to figure that all out. But so if I don't use it in that 1 year, it rolls to the next, and I use it, like I said, as a net coming off.
So this 1.617, et cetera, when you say, because you said I expect to give back, that's not going back to Board of Finance, that's gonna roll over to.
No, so no, that's just the difference between the two. So, but yes, but some of them will stay, like, because it's a paving account, but others won't. So, if you look at like the let me see here. A good one is the Highway Department Cold Storage Building, or the Irwin House abatement, or the Waving House exterior renovation, right? All those.
Mhm.
That money will either be used towards further exterior renovation work at Waving House. And then when that project is complete, it'll go back. And the Highway Department Cold Storage Building, that's just gonna roll back. Or the Town Hall Annex roof, where that just rolls back. So we that kind of work. Any money that's left over in the account rolls back to either the general fund or gets taken off the bonding rolls.
So if I may entertain just this question, and for you, Nick, as well. If a project is allocated, let's say $1 million, and you have $250,000 unspent money, the project is complete. That money would not have been bonded because we don't bond until the project is finished.
Likely not.
So it's just a budgetary number. What is the advantage in not knowing at the end what the true cost of a project is if we just take that money and cover it for Waveney or any other project?
We don't cover it for Waving, or we can't. I can't do anything without the Board of Finance.
I know.
So there's an advantage in the fact if they take it and they reduce what they were going to bond, and then it opens up available monies to bond for future, is all it's doing. So the next project is approved, and therefore by the Board of Finance and the Council, it's approved, and you say, okay, well, we didn't use all this, we're able to use surplus from here to there, so your overall net is less. That's the benefit.
But it's always a budgetary number because the bonded amount is done after the project's finished.
I can't speak to that. Typically, it's done after the project is finished. That's correct.
Okay.
In the past, we've had times where we've bonded, during in certain locations, but typically it's bonded after. So therefore, at that point in time, whatever the project is, they would bond for that project, and then anything that was allocated at that point in time, yes, it's a budgetary number, it comes off the bottom, but then when you're looking at your debt service is less. So if they needed to, it softens the blow on the next year's debt service.
I see.
That number, so.
Okay, on this list, tell me whether or not it's been completed or it's just not in the list presently, and that's the swings or the playground for Waverly Park.
Oh, and I didn't put that in the list, it's not complete, I'll put that on the list, I'm sorry, so the fitness area is complete, done, packaged. The playground area, we have the area graded. It's got granite curb all the way around it. The grading on the outside is done. The equipment has been delivered, and it's in storage at present. And he's gonna start probably by the end of February, starting to install the units, and then they'll put the port in place. The port in place surface has to go in during certain temperatures.
Mhm.
So what we don't want to do is put the units out there, and then they're
Failed.
well, people are gonna want to go use them, right? So it's an attractive nuisance. So it's an attractive nuisance, and then we're stuck. So we're balancing the point of when to put them in the ground, and then when the port in place surface come back. And our thought is at the end of February, it's gonna take them 2 to 3 weeks to put them all in the ground. And by mid-March, we should be able to then have favorable temperatures to put the pour in place surface down. So everything's here waiting to go. It's just we're waiting for favorable weather to start and finish that project. And that should be done sometime around May 1, April 15, something like that, depending upon when that poured in place surface can go in.
Are we on budget or under
We're on
budget?
budget.
Okay.
We're on budget. We're under budget, actually. But I'll put that on the list here. I apologize.
No, is there any other projects that are under?
Nothing of that nature. No, most of them are small. If anything, most are maintenance items. I'm not gonna go down to the tens, because the list would be monstrous.
Yes.
Be pages long, so I just try to hit the biggest numbers are the ones that are bonded, excluding equipment purchases, things like that. Equipment purchases are basically a 1-for-1, but I'm surprised they don't have the playground on here.
Tiger, do you have any concerns of any projects going on right now?
No, right now we're pretty good. We're very good on the exterior repairs and waving. Berwin is going well. We've had a couple of things where we found additional storage tanks under the ground that were unknown. We had allowances for those, or holds for those. So we have monies available, and then we're feeling like we won't have to touch the contingency to satisfy those and take those out. So right now we just got the environmental makeup of we had to go back out and get another look at the soil and see. So now we know exactly what we need to do in the area, and we'll finish that portion of the work. But I think that we have enough in our allowances to handle that those additional tanks. And then all that does is push us out on time, but we're really not, apart from wanting to finish the project, there's nothing waiting on the other side. It's snow covered, can't really plant anything in the area, can't do anything. So it's not killing us. We're not waiting to use the area for something special. So there's no reason to, push the contractor too hard to finish, because there's nothing waiting on the other end. If it was a bridge or something like that, we would have use of it. It's a totally different story.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have anything off the top of my head that's raising a red flag for me.
If you scroll up a little bit on your list of projects, current projects, what else is red?
The only had
Oh, small amounts, okay.
very small amounts, yeah. So each contingency, I had one that for the wavy trails used almost all the contingency, but that was only $4,000. And really it came down to we extended the trail by 200 feet in order to match up perfectly with where the Conservancy was going to finish or start on their project and get us around the corner. That's all that was. So it really it wasn't an unforeseen, it was we just added about 200 feet of trail to finish a good spot. And the rest of it, they're all pretty small. And even, when you look at it, you go, you use 89.76% of the contingency, well, it's only $4,000. And that was on the decorative crosswalks. We had them put in with the same material. The decorative crosswalks are in the white striping, the edge striping that delineates the crosswalk. So have it all one material. And that's MUTCP requirement, manual and uniform traffic control devices requirement to have the striping. We could have done it in paint, or we could have done it in that process. And in that process, it lasts longer and save us money. So and it looks like it's all one installation, so it looks a lot better. So that's that. But that was about it overall.
That's great.
Hey,
What
Tiger,
Yeah, sure.
on the local roads, what is the so this is, it says local roads number 1, FGB construction. How are they different than Burns construction? Are they do they specialize in different things or different size projects?
They're similar. Burns is bigger than FGB, but FGB is more of a site guy, paving guy. Burns has different divisions. They've got a gas division, a water division, and now they're developing their own site division. So they're a little bit behind on that. They've done the parking lot at West School. They did the parking lot at Banco Pool. and they did the fire department parking lot, and they paved Elm Street all this year or last year for us, and they did a very nice job. They've been, they have two gentlemen working that I've known personally for about 30 years that are doing a nice job.
Peace out.
Thanks, they're doing they've worked for the town in the past from other contractors, they're doing a nice job. It just comes down to a little bitter in the end, but FGB is much more of a paving, if you're gonna look at a paving contractor, they're much more of a paving contractor.
Oh, okay. So they get the bigger job, well, the bigger size
Yeah,
jobs.
yeah.
Okay. Alrighty.
Nice job, and their production, no one can beat their production, so therefore their prices are lower. You can, the more material you put down in a day, the better off you are, less cost you have for your men, and the better price we get. So we're on a low bid across the board, and FGB's won that bid last couple of years, each time we put it out. And we'll be putting out a bid shortly for our local paving for this coming year, just to get ahead of it. We try to be out earlier than our counterparts in other municipalities, so therefore we get the person who's hungry, right? So that's what I want. The guy hungry, I want him to have a winner on his first job, so I want him to know what his first job is and know what his first job is early, so therefore they tend to give us a lower price if I get out early. And then the second one, if we have a second one, I try to time it into the market where people are starting to have, where it's August, September, and they need a finishing project. They need a project to bring them to the end of the year when they lay off their men. So I try to time that one exactly the same way so that they're a little bit hungry there, so that they have that project knowing that they're going to be able to have their staff work to the end of the season. So I try to balance the two bids out, one early and then one mid-season, but early before everybody else is then trying to cram in whatever they've got to cram in before the plant fills.
Okay, great. It's so I guess pretty much FGB and Burns, they're bidding on every job together, right?
They don't bid together, or what they bid separate.
No, I mean they both
Yeah.
submit independent bids
They
on
submit
pretty much every
independent
job.
Yes, yeah, predominantly. Any paving job, absolutely. Sidewalk jobs, yes, and then it depends. They won't come down to the trail work. They don't really do buildings. They don't do other things like that. All site work, anything that's site work related, yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and then but I send it out to anywhere from 7 to 12 separate contractors, get a solicitation from the town because they bid the projects in the past, and then we advertise it and it goes on the town website. So we're hitting at least 7 people on a large paving job, probably 12 people on a sidewalk job, and then go from there. And then then it gets picked up by Construct Connect or some other entities as far as like magazines that have a cutting service for contractors, and then and they send it out to their contractors. So there's a pretty broad web that it goes out to.
Okay, great.
Is the curbing included with the sidewalks? Is it the same contractor?
Same contract.
Okay.
Yeah, depending upon the project, but yes, in the instance of Pine Street, it's sidewalks, curbing, and paving. And then if it was, say, Putnam Road, right? So Putnam Road had mostly the sidewalks because it was a snow shelf, had some curbing, but most of it was just all sidewalks to that snow shelf. But then Millport Avenue, sidewalks and curbing together because it was up against the road. So if the sidewalk is directly adjacent to the road, we put granite curbing along the road to protect the pedestrian and the sidewalk edge itself. And then if it's got a snow shelf, we put the sidewalk, and then we have a blacktop curbing because we've got grass, and blacktop curbing we have to pay for the more expensive granite.
But you have two different contractors, one contractor to do all.
Yeah, lump it all together. That way they're not standing on top of each other, and they're also not blaming each other that one did one thing and one did another. Last thing I need is to put in a brand new, perfectly good sidewalk, and then the concrete or the curbing guy comes in and drives all over the sidewalk and breaks it. Now you got people pointing fingers at each other, so it's just better to have one guy yell at. Yeah, in the end.
Okay. Jack, you have?
Yeah, I just have a question, just sort of following the trail, because I saw that you've got the line on Cabo Field and completed.
Yep.
So the final cost was
505,
right.
66.
Do you know off the top of your head, do you remember what was the contribution from the athletic? Bunch like,
The town gave 2 million, so
Right.
that they did 3055067,
okay,
and then paid for the
so the over, like the overbid, like just, how does that work into the equation?
what do you mean the overbid?
It went over 77,
So over 70, yeah, over from the original,
Yeah.
77,000, they paid for that.
okay.
We were capped at $2 million. They had a $3 million contribution and a $250,000 contingency.
That's just what I wanna know, so we were capped at 2 and.
We were capped at 2,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. So when it shook out at the end, as it came close to the end, they had to make a contribution.
Thank you.
Could you, in the future, put private-public partnership?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
I can tell you, I can divide that up, that's, a little bit hard, if I try to keep the sheet clean, but I can give you a secondary sheet as to what it was. The contributions, what have you, or another line.
or an asterisk or something just to differentiate.
I thought because.
Yeah, there aren't that many,
Yeah.
it's this one, the Saks basketball court, that was completely donated. That was donated by the Saks PTA or PTC. That was there was no town funds in that, so that was completely donation driven. And then we'll have the Waveney one as well, because that's got 3 aspects. That's got a grant, it has the town aspect, and then it has the Friends of Waveney Playground. Also,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Anything else you see? Or any other questions here?
Anybody else have questions on this? No? I guess we can move on.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No questions. Sorry, I was on mute.
Thank you.
thanks. Don't know if everybody got their budget book.
We didn't. I asked Pam this morning and.
Right.
Yeah.
The numbers didn't change, because these are numbers, the numbers that I have are from from the Board of Selectmen.
Is that what this is?
Presentation. That's the back, yeah, that's the capital.
Okay,
There should be few. The other side, there should be,
yeah,
what she gave you.
Salaries.
Yeah, so you're on the
Yeah.
other side, so you gotta go,
Like
you just
your-
work your way through.
Yeah.
Exactly, so I'll just walk you through it overall, so. Overall, we're at a 1.02% change year over year. I took the sewer out because the sewer had an anomaly in it that caused it to be in the negative. I don't like to have the sewer then skew the numbers, but overall for the department, it's just under $12 million for an operating budget, up $120,000 or 1.02% year over year. Transfer station was in a negative, administration is in a
I'm
negative.
sorry, what page are you on?
I'm just on my presentation. for
Oh,
right now.
okay, okay,
Yeah, that's all, so you can see on the screen.
Okay.
And then I'll walk each one.
Tiger, not to interrupt your flow, what would be the main reason for the reduction in transfer station costs? That's an interesting one.
That's actually has to do with the superintendent, so I was gonna get to every individual screen, but I don't have a problem.
Oh, okay, no problem. I don't, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. What I normally do is just give you the overview, and then we're gonna hit each department. And then you can then look at your budget book, and if there's questions per line, happy to answer anything you got, and then I'll go from there. But just, I try to look at it from a departmental basis where we are, and then if we look at it, this is just each department year over year since fiscal 10, and that bold red line at the top with the triangles, that's inflation. So, and highway actually tracks almost perfect with inflation from 10 to 27. So you look at, highway was a little bit above inflation line, and then kind of below. So we tracked just below inflation year over year, and everybody else is below the inflation line. If you look at as far as how we stay or how flat we are. And then we get into each budget. On page 26 is the administration budget. So now on the sheets that you have, Christina, the sheets that you have, I'm telling you, it should be page 27. Pretty close.
It starts for us on 27.
All right, then I'm gonna make page off. So admin is administration is right now it's a -3%. Or -$11,000. And what that is we just reduced one professional service line. We have $11,000 professional service line based upon our current trend of spending, where we are between administration and engineering for outside services for anything that we might need. We have budgeted between the two departments $145,000. And we have about $120,000, $130,000 that is allocated, meaning that it's already in an annual expenditure for outside services. And that can be for our GIS services, since the town engineer is responsible for all surveys in town. Our geographic information system is run through the engineering department. Our MS4, which is our stormwater system. Municipal separate storm sewer system permit through the DEP MS4. That's for our stormwater. That management is run through the engineering department. We've got our other things for hazardous communications for our material safety data sheets for all the town buildings, things of that nature all run. So we have about $15,000 worth of money that goes towards starting a project. If I need some engineering help, I need some other work like that. But that we determined that we weren't utilizing that line, so we took that line out. And I don't know if there's any other questions on admin, but right now it's at a -3.16, 3.2.
Where would the merit increase hit? Would it be administration, Tiger?
The merit.
Yeah, the annual cost of living.
Annual increase is in each budget. So on the top of on the salaries full-time line, you'll see the increase year over year. For that, administration is basically in the department as far as salaried employees is myself and my DPW project coordinator Christy. So
Right.
it's administration now. Though that's us, and then in engineering is the town engineer and the senior engineer, or Joe. So he's considered now the DPW senior project manager is his title. We changed his title last year. So if we look at engineering has a $10,000 change, or 2%, 2.17%. It's basically the 401A benefit line. Neither Maria or Joe are pensioned, so they came in after the pension was closed, so they're underneath the 401, and basically the town has to match up to a certain percentage their contributions. So they're putting more towards their retirement. Town's got to put a little bit more towards their retirement. And then the rest of it is, that's on page 28, I believe, but
Oh, I see, okay.
right, so, and then the rest of it is pretty flat across the board, for everything.
So I was just having trouble behind, so now I get it.
Yeah.
28, so engineering that's Bill, or
No,
who is that?
engineering is Maria.
Maria,
It's town buildings, it's
Okay.
Maria and Joe. No problem. Any questions on that? I'm sorry. The next would be town buildings. This is built. That's page 29. The town buildings is a 5% increase, 4.97. It's basically, we have an increase in our outside contractor line, an increase in our cleaning line, and our service contracts. They've all been bid, they're multi-year bids, and these are the numbers that were associated with those contracts coming back. So they're 3 to 5 year annual contracts, and this is what we're seeing in the trend. But like I said, they were bid, we chose the lowest bidder based upon the length of contract and the services provided. That basically kind of carries everything.
Is this a new contractor, the cleaning services for the town?
It's not a new contractor, but it's a new contract for the contractor. So we had them, they got outbid, they came back in again after. So this subsequent contract, they came back in again and won, beat the one that was here.
Okay,
And the service contracts and the outside contractors, we have some very, I think there's carryover between the last year, the last contracts and this contract as far as, we won each year. So we've got contractors that continue to win. So.
So Tiger, so these contracts are renegotiated for how, every year or every 3 or 5 years?
Most of the time we bid them out for either 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Because so specifically for like the cleaning contract, there's a lot that goes in on behind the scenes that sometimes they've got to hire full staffs to handle. If it's a new contractor coming in, he's got to hire an entire staff to manage the buildings or manage the municipality. So you can't ask them to do that annually. So and then we find out that upfront cost we're being charged for. So it's better to be spread out over a couple of years. So we do it either 3 to 5 years out, depending on.
So are the annual increases predetermined, like agreed to?
The annual increases are predetermined. They were inside their bid. That's correct. So
Okay.
when we bid it out for the 3 years. They give us the 3 years worth of numbers: year 1, year 2, year 3, and then we look at what that overall cost is in the end for that contract for the 3 years, and then analyze that and determine what's in the best interest of the town.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Any other questions on town buildings?
No?
The next is the highway department, page 27. So the highway department itself is a 3.84% increase year over year. It's 152,000. We've got some reductions in some of our lines where we weren't utilizing them to their full extent. So we tried to basically look at our 3-year average and then adjust accordingly the account. So looking at a 3-year average supplies, auto and truck of what we were using versus what was being budgeted, and we were able to bring that down a little bit to be in line with exactly what we're seeing for maintenance items. But for the highway, the largest driver is basically in the salary line. But we settled the contract last year. So when we settled the contract last year, everything gets folded into this year. So the increase, while it shows the 5%, is really not a 5% increase year over year. It's based upon when the contract was signed. It's retroactive, and then it moves forward from there. So it's a little bit of a misnomer. And finance is going to try to find a way to divvy those numbers up so you can actually see it year over year, so we won't look like we're giving a 5% increase to our staff when we're not. But also built into that 5% number is we've had probably 8 new hires, and each one of them is in their step in grade. So they're in their grade and they're stepping out accordingly. So we don't hire them at their grade at step 5, which is the maximum step we get. You normally hire them at a grade 2 grade and step 2, whatever grade they are, step 2, step 3. So they have several years to grow into the position because they're not as knowledgeable of the town and knowledgeable of what is happening to be equal in pay to a gentleman who's been here for 20 years, since it's all unionized. So we start them off lower and then they work their way through. That's why while the staff is getting a 3% year over year cost of living, there are some that are getting a step in which the step would then bring them closer to the final amount. Any other questions on highway? The next is the transfer station. So transfer station is page 30. So Steve, to your point, you'll see there's a $92,000 reduction in the salary line. What we did was instead we had a longtime superintendent in Don Smith, 40 plus years with the town, and then when Donnie retired, we took a look at the entire division, and there's 3 men working for the transfer station at present, 3 union employees. we felt that we could then fold that oversight into the highway superintendent, give him a slight increase for that effort, but then save ourselves on the superintendent. Most of the work is automated as far as like the scale house, things of that nature, and we can then have one person overseeing the two divisions themselves, save ourselves on a superintendent's salary. And then what we have too is we have the decrease in our garbage hauling and in our recycling lines. We are out for contract this year, so the contract expires in June of 26. So we're looking to have to go back out again, but we're seeing a reduction in volume at the station in both garbage hauling and recycling. So we were normally over the years estimating out our budget or budgeting on 7,000 tons for municipal solid waste MSW every year, but we're not getting to that amount. So we reduced that down to 6,500 ton for the year. So a reduction in 500 ton at a higher rate, what we think that rate might be going forward. And that delta causes us to have a slight decrease in the overall budget itself. So you'll see in the garbage hauling we have a minus 5%, $35,000 coming back out again. Same thing with recycling. We have another reduction there. So we just took a look at what we were actually doing and what we were getting. So recycling is coming down $50,000. Things like that. So that kind of makes up that the salary change plus the garbage and the recycling changes in the quantity itself of what we're receiving makes that change. But we have on the other side, we have a commensurate for garbage, we have a commensurate tipping fee. So we pay right now $111 out the door for our garbage to be transferred and then either brought to a waste to an energy plant, burn plant, or to a landfill. And we pay $111 going out the door. We charge $115 coming in. So there's $4 net that's a positive to the town for anything that we bring in. So we don't want to reduce our volume too much because we're seeing a positive gain, but this is what we're seeing with our private haulers. Some of our private haulers are not coming to town anymore. They're gathering clients and going to other locations in other towns, and then they come here when it's beneficial to them. Say that everybody's picked up in town or what have you. But we just made a change there, just to stay more in line with what we're seeing as a trend at the station.
2 questions, Tyler. Sure. Are we still doing single stream recycling?
Yes, we are.
And
That's a state mandate. So yeah.
okay.
That was the second
I
question.
forgot the second one.
Okay. But if you get it, then just shout it back out. We get awesome. Anything else on the transfer station? The next gen, you're gonna do parks later, so we'll go to the nature center. John and him at Parks and Recreation, one shot. The nature center is $78,000. This is page 32. Sorry. The nature center, we supply electricity, fuel, and water as the landlord. So we're the landlord of the property. Nature center runs the facility for us, and we're responsible for fuel, electricity, and water. So based upon what we see out there as a trend for each, we made based on what their usage was and versus what we feel the cost going forward will be. There'll likely be a change in the electricity only because we have a favorable rate and we're just waiting for. We have a favorable rate that we're buying. And so, but the distribution is the one thing that's up in the air. So the distribution comes from Eversource. Our supplier is Constellation. So we're working on a multi-year contract with Constellation where we have a very favorable rate for our supply. So that's fixed. But the distribution from Eversource, that is unknown because that rate gets set by Puro. So, but we'll likely have that. We're working through that number. Every single department has a 10% carry for electricity right now in the budget, and the Board of Selectmen asked us to take a look at that in regards to hopefully tweaking it downward for the Board of Finance to then make that cut. So I don't know if you have any questions on the Nature Center.
going back a second, what
Sure.
is our annual revenue from the intake or the tipping fees?
I'd have to look back and see what that is. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I have an entire chart that I can give you that I give to the Conservation Commission all the time.
Okay.
I can send that to you.
Okay,
Yeah. Town utilities, page 29. So the town utilities, this is for the town to pay for our sewer service. Because all of our facilities are connected to the wastewater plant. So that's our sewer usage fee. And then our streetlights and our hydrant service. So we rent our streetlights or lease our streetlights from Eversource themselves. We have just over 400 streetlights in town. I think the new count's about 410. And we lease it, but so with that lease comes, they install it, they maintain it, they repair it, they replace it. So they take care of everything, and we just pay a nominal fee on a per light basis for the electricity and the maintenance themselves. We looked at one point in time taking them all over, and it's not in our best interest to take them over. We don't have that many municipalities, not that large in that regard, and a lot of towns that have done it are regretting the decision. They did it because they thought it was going to be cost beneficial to the town. It's not. And then as far as hydrant service goes, that pays for all the hydrants we have in town. We have over 300 in town. And basically that service is because the water main to carry the service for the fire hydrant is larger than what we need to just carry domestic water to houses. So they've got to make the pipe bigger for the fire service flow. And because of that, there's a what's called a per inch foot fee. So size of diameter of pipe and the number of linear feet, there's a per inch foot fee. So X amount of linear feet in town, X amount of diameter, we pay a fee associated with that, and then we pay a fee for the hydrant itself for them to maintain the hydrant. So then the same exact situation. They install it, they maintain it, they repair it, they replace it. We don't have to do anything. But we just pay for the service itself. And then a lot of the infrastructure that's in the ground, they pay a tax back to the town for personal property taxes back to the town. So we see a benefit of that. I don't know if you have any questions on town utilities.
No,
The next is tree service. Tree service is flat. We a year or two ago we went to we got a slight increase in the budget to make up for the fact that we like to have about 12 bids a year to go out for tree removals, and we track the amount of trees that we remove, track the number of pruning, and year over year, we actually from 24 to 25, we probably took down an additional 46 trees, some additional stumps, and pruned a little bit less. But overall, this pays for not only that service that we bid out, but also the emergency services where if a tree falls down in the middle of the night, we have 7 different contractors that are on a call basis. And they're on call a week on and then 6 weeks off. So if someone's on call for an entire week, we have a schedule for the entire year. And police, fire, EMS, ourselves, we all know who needs to call in case a tree falls down. Someone will come and get it off the roadway, clean it up, what have you, on the overnight. So and those are the only contractors. If you're not on our emergency services list, you can't bid our projects. So there's a benefit both sides to that.
these services are for trees, I guess, as you described, that interfere with roadways or a potential threat. But it could be on town property, it could be on private property, something next to roadways.
Only town property.
Okay, got it.
We just do town property. So anything along our right of way. So our right of way is about 50 feet wide. So if you figure that the road's about 25 feet, and it's smack in the middle. So 25 feet from the center line, so about 12 feet, 13 feet on either side of the road, we own that stretch. And we're responsible for the maintenance and upkeep there, so the trees and what have you. So anything that's diseased or dying, we're responsible for. And then all the town properties and the town parks. So that's so any tree in the town property, any tree in a town park, any tree along the roadside. The tree warden has care and control of.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then the last is the wastewater plant, is page 45. This is where there's a if the majority of the department is at in a whole, as a whole, it's a little bit year over year at an increase, but there's a change at the bottom of the lines where for contingency and others that is causing it to look like it's at a -12, but it's really not. The contingency is set based upon the sewer use fees coming in. So, but overall, we're at a slight increase. We have a increase in our sludge hauling contract and our chemical line. So our sludge hauling contract is up for rebid this June. It's a 3-year contract that we're looking at, 3 to 5 year contract that we're looking at. And we're being told right now that could go up by anywhere from 20 to 25%. And then our chemical line is probably our best line because that helps us pump our phosphorus removal, our zinc removal, and our nitrogen removal. And every year we get money back from the state for the amount of nitrogen we remove. And if we're able to make our permit with chemical additives for our zinc and our phosphorus, we put off anywhere from a $9 to $13 million expansion of the plant to handle zinc and phosphorus for a nominal uptick in chemical fees. So, our plant is run very, very well. We have had no issues. It's almost 28 years old now. We've had to do some major maintenance repairs, but overall it's run very well. And we're in the process right now of replacing our UV system. That's a $4 to $5 million project with engineering, and we just got a $1.092 million grant from the federal government for that work. So we just Tiana just got the letter the other day for that. So that's good as far as about 25% of that cost will be offset by a grant from the EPA.
Pepper, it's Penny. I've got a question for you.
Sure.
And I don't know if it's the right department or maybe it's down at the transfer station, but we used to have a serious threat of however many millions to take I believe it was phosphorus out of the water.
Same. Yep.
Is that now not a threat, or have we pushed it out so far that it's really just never going to happen?
Well, right now we're able to make permit with by chemical additives.
Mm-hmm.
By a chemical process. So since we're able to make permit, we're fine. We're going through the permit process right now. We're hoping that they don't change the limits on us. And if they don't change the limits, we're going to be fine going forward. So we've staved off that.
Yeah.
That, and to the point where I don't even have it in the 5-year capital plan anymore. We took it out a year or so ago to say, okay, we're this threat. We've been able to handle it chemically through an engineering basis with AECOM, our engineers that we have on call, and Nick down at the plant. So plant's running. It's been running very well, and knock on wood, we shouldn't have a problem.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
So Tiger, did we solve the problem between the stormwater flow and the wastewater?
We don't have any problem with this.
We don't?
No, we have a completely separate system.
Okay, I
So-
thought you needed to work on it to not.
Well, no, what we have is, so we have 2 separate systems. We got a sanitary sewer system
Right,
and a stormwater system. Some towns are combined, where it's a combined system, New Haven, Bridgeport,
Right.
others. We're separate. What we have on the sanitary side is we're getting inflow and infiltration. So we're getting water, stormwater, inflow in, we're not connected together. But so the piping is old, the manholes are old. So we're getting, during a storm, we're getting a lot of what's called inflow and infiltration. We're working through that process right now. So we're on our second phase of engineering on that. It's a 4-phase project. So we're on our second phase of engineering, first phase of implementation. They just went through and analyzed about 100 manholes or so and rehabilitated those. We've done some sewer relining. We did some sewer relining up on South Avenue, down on Cross Street. We did another stretch on Main Street. So areas that we're seeing we're having a problem,
Right.
we're doing we're relining the sewer itself, so we don't have to dig it out. This prospect is crazy to expensive to dig it out. Where we put it, we're putting it in situ forming. So it's a line, it's a sock that goes through, it's a fiberglass sock that goes through and gives you a brand new pipe on the
Okay.
inside of the old pipe. So if it's cracked or the joints are dislodged, you won't have a problem. We're going through that process now, and that's a multi-year process. But in the end, the goal is to then reduce that inflow and infiltration down to a manageable level during storms. Because we're permitted, or we're designed to be at 1.4 million, 1.7 million gallons a day, 1.6 million gallons a day. We do about 900,000 gallons a day. On a storm, we surge to just over 7 million. That's all water. So we've got to get rid of that,
Right.
and then because that'll help the plant run a little bit better. We won't have problems with the fact that we might have an overflow. So that's our issue. So we're in that process. Like I
And
said,
Christina, we'll see that expenditure in the capital budgets.
right?
Yeah, I just wonder whether or not it's a separate line item on the capital
Yes, it is.
budgets.
It's completely separate. So actually 2 separate lines. One's engineering, one's construction. So
Okay,
there's 2 separate lines in the capital budget.
okay,
Yes.
thank you.
No problem. Yeah, if there's nothing else, I'll go to capital, then we'll keep rolling. So the overall capital request is 19 million, up $5 million from last year's receive of 14 million. This takes out the police department, takes out anything that's of a large nature that way, because it doesn't it would kind of muddy the waters. Putting 27 or 29 million dollars into the police department would make it way too lumpy. But as far as on the engineering side, the request is 6,975,000. 3.5 million of it is our pavement management program. 2 years ago, we went from what we were getting an annual allotment of $2.5 million a year that had been set for the past 20 years. We hadn't changed that number for 20 years now with the increase in pricing and over the past 20 years. And we've had to ask for a little bit of a bump. And this gets back to the point where I did an analysis over 5 years, and over that 5-year analysis, it determined that we needed an average of $3.5 million per year to make it. So I said, give me $3.5 million a year instead of making it lumpy throughout. I can move roads within that time frame, and then come out at the end and balance it all out. So I might have savings in 1 year, and then need more in the next year to carry over to the next year. So like I said, this year coming up, it's about $4.3 million worth of work, even though I'm only asking for 3.5. So, and then the following year I've got same thing, and then I fall off a little bit. So, but that was I said a couple of years ago we asked for that increase just to stay current with our current pavement condition index. Our current pavement condition index is just under a 90. It's an 89 and change. We're going to hover at that 89, 90 range forever if we don't make a change. If we make a change to the negative, it's only going to drop. If we make a change to the positive, hard to push the number north a little bit, and there's no reason to push it any further north. Right now, our lowest PCI gets down to around a 78 or 77, and right when the condition index drops below an 80 is when the phone rings. Instantaneous. I don't know exactly how they know it, but they know exactly when the phone rings, because they say, when are you going to pave my road? And they're right on cue as far as where the lowest that we're going to hit.
Just for reference, last year's pavement management program was 3 million. So Tiger did put in 3.5 million every year for the foreseeable future, right? 20.
Right. Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah, we walked our way in. basically went 2.5 to 3 to 3.5. So we walked our way in, and now it will be a 3.5 carried forward until I can't sustain that anymore. So we were able to sustain it for a long time. We've added methods to our pavement management. Just went to a seminar the other day with Lou, our highway superintendent. Had about 30 municipalities in attendance to see if there's anything else out there that we can do as far as putting another arrow in the quiver to help maintain the roads at a reduced cost. So we mill and pave. We do a cape seal, micro thin overlay, we crack seal, do a hot in place asphalt recycling, looking at cold in place asphalt recycling, and a couple of others, but we're trying to tweak that mix overall to be able to then get us to have our roads in great shape or in good shape and at a reduced cost. So we're continually looking, but we're in an enviable position compared to our counterparts in the state and in the region, because we've been attacking this for 20 years and we've been very successful in bringing our PCI up, and others are still struggling. So if you go to surrounding towns, you can see when you leave the town, you can see the state line, you can see the town line, the state line. And then I've got $350,000 for ADA improvements. That is most of it is for the walkway between the parking lot at the Water Tower turf fields and Lapham Community Center. So between the tennis courts and the Water Tower turf fields and Lapham and the parking lot, that entire walkway has to be replaced. So we're looking at doing that this summer with concrete. I've got $300,000 for parking lot improvements. Excuse me, that is for the Lapham Community Center main parking lot and the western parking lot of the community center. We're looking to redo that western side. So as you're coming to the community center, that's to the right. As you come in front of the community center, that western parking lot is to the right. And then I've got $750,000 for sidewalk improvements. Right now, we have a backlog of just over $4 million in sidewalks, existing sidewalks that need to be replaced. So our focus is on the areas behind the Y. We did Putnam Road. Now we're looking to do Danvers, Whiffletree, Butler, and then the area at Southwood Drive. And then from there, I've got work that I need to do on East Avenue from Main Street all the way down to from 124 to 123, Main Street all the way down to New Norwalk Road. And then we've still got South Avenue to contend with, and a couple of other Heritage Hill, a couple of other locations in there. But it's about a $4 million backlog of work that we're trying to chew through. This is our last. We attacked our roads. We did a great job on our roads. We attacked our bridges. We did the exact same. Our buildings are in very good shape, if not working our way out of our buildings. The next thing that we have is our sidewalks. So we're trying to chew through that list and complete that backlog. So that's our focus at present.
Tiger.
Yeah,
This does not include any new sidewalks,
No new
this is
sidewalks.
just repairs.
all repair. That's why I said existing sidewalk.
Okay.
Nothing new.
But do you have any new sidewalks anywhere else in the budget?
No,
Okay,
no, we do not. But thank you for the question, because that came up from the Board of Finance as well, Board of Selectmen as well. So there's no money in the budget for new sidewalk installation.
not even bump outs?
Mm,
Because I heard that there's consideration of redoing some of the, or extending the bump outs on Elm.
no, we don't have any on now. I'm looking at the only area where I might bump out the sidewalk is down here on Forest Street, where it enters East Avenue, because I keep getting that lamppost knocked over.
Okay.
So that's the only area, but it's a small, but that's an existing sidewalk. So, and that's really to stop trucks from hitting the lamppost.
But that's a repair more or less.
That's a repair.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no plans on Elm Street at present to do anything further
Or Main,
for me.
okay.
At present, no. The only new sidewalk installation is on Lakeview Avenue, and that's entirely funded by a grant. And since we had the grant prior to stopping the moratorium on new sidewalk installation, that one went forward. Plus, it's a nice aspect because it connects Main Street with Millport Avenue, so it connects down to East School, and it also connects Millport and Canaan Parish with town. But that's a grant, so that
And
was
106 is not happening?
106. Not at present.
Okay.
No. We stopped the design. We haven't gone forward with the design of that work.
Okay.
So no, so that all that work has been put on hold. And then the other thing of note is we have $1.5 million shown in here for intersection improvements. That's construction itself, but that's a grant. So right now we're looking at improving the intersection of Farm Road and 106 to try to widen and make a turning lane. You're heading southbound on 106 Old Stanford Road at Farm Road to make a left-hand turn lane to try to alleviate some of the traffic in that area, specifically in the morning commute and the evening. And we are in the process of soliciting for a LOTSIP grant, Local Transportation Capital Improvement Grant. If I don't put it in the budget, then I have to go back to all the entities to ask for it. So putting in the budget, it's in the other column, so you'll see it in the other column on capital, and that's the grant we're looking at. And the rest of it is we just have we have work in and around some of the areas in town, guide rail improvements, signage improvements, town parcel surveys. Our bridge is under 20 feet. That's basically our culverts. So we have a number of culverts that are underneath the road. That's considered a bridge under 20 feet. It's nomenclature. That $250,000 is for repairs or reconstruction.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
It's if it's on there, and it doesn't seem like it affects this cycle, but I'm just curious, what is this parking lot land acquisition?
It's been in there forever. That's in case we want to pick up any land adjacent to any one of the parking lots that we have.
So you just had this in because of that
Just-
matrix that Amy was
Right,
asking.
if you're looking at, there are certain locations where parcels are strategic. In and around Town Chill, in and around Locust, in and around other areas that we have, there are some parcels that are strategic. So that's why it sits out there.
Okay.
It doesn't come, it hasn't come further. It just stays in the out year. And in case we're looking at improving those areas, then we would love to bring this forward.
Thanks for answering that, because I know it doesn't deal with this year, but.
Yeah. Anything else on administration? The next is town buildings. It's just under $8 million from up from $5 million last year. The largest is that we have $4 million allotment for replacement of the heating and ventilating and the addition of AC at Waveney House. A number of years ago, we went through the design process. We have an entire design on the shelf waiting to be implemented. Eventually, we're going to have to tackle this beast. All the piping runs through the walls. So we've done fine on the supply piping coming to and the waste piping leaving the facility, since that's all in the basement. We did that in prior years, but now actually getting heat and air conditioning to Waveney. And the thought is that we would split the system. We would have a system in the attic that would handle the second floor, and a system in the basement that would handle the first floor. So the thought is to have two separate systems and then separate systems inside those systems. So right now we're running on one boiler. So if that boiler goes, the whole house goes down, right? So the thought is to have multiple boilers and multiple systems to handle both the heating and ventilating and the air conditioning. But it's a big building, it's a big undertaking, and we're estimating it at about $4 million worth of work. Whether it goes forward in this year or not, it eventually is going to have to. We've been carrying it in the out year for several years now, and eventually it's going to need to come forward. Eventually, we're going to need to tackle it. The other is we have $1.3 million for that's phase 2 of the exterior improvements at Waveney. That is going to handle the the majority of the more expensive work, the coping stones, through wall flashing, things of that nature, we might be able to reduce this down to zero because the project itself has been going very, very well. And we think we've got enough money in the existing project to handle this phase two. We might want to bring that 1.3 down to maybe $500,000 in an out year, just in case there's other work that we see that might need to be done. But we've tackled all of the known issues that we've had, and now we're on to the known unknowns, meaning that we've got some other areas that we think are a problem, and we're gonna tackle those in the second phase.
So you think the 1.3 can go down to zero potentially?
Well, if 1.3 goes down to zero in this year and $500,000 for next year, yes, we put it out and then that 500,000 might not be necessary. But yeah, that would be a discussion for the Board of Finance, because at the time, we're reevaluating that right now and looking at that.
Yeah.
Because I know the ask is gonna be to bring stuff down, and
Oh.
that might be one for us to be able to bring down.
Yeah.
Then we have $360,000 for the exterior doors at Waveney. This is both for the front door and the back door leading off of the breakfast nook onto the patio. So where the bar is during most functions, that's the breakfast area. So that door and then the front door. Front door never closes, doesn't close well. It's definitely not sealed. We're losing a lot of heat through it. And it should be replaced. We've replaced all the other doors as part of the ADA work that we did with Waveney, but we didn't do the front door, we didn't do this back door, mainly because they're serviced by staircases. But it's $360,000.
So I heard a lot of conversation about that, about the cost of the doors, so.
It's very expensive.
But there's no hope on
We have
that.
two separate bidders on it, two separate suppliers, both came back with the same number. So we're looking at alternatives because it is a big number. Board of Selectmen we've been talking about it for about 6 months, so yeah, it's.
What is it, lumber or mechanics?
No, it's just the door itself. The
Yeah.
doors. Imagine it's just not the doors, right? Because it's the side lighting and the top, so it's one whole unit that comes in, and we. I only have to say is over the past year or so, the material cost has nearly doubled. Right, it's not the labor; it's all the material costs nearly doubled. So we're looking at alternatives. We just don't know what a suitable alternative would be. Because it's the front door way it is. We want to make sure that we look to see, did they have wood doors back then? See could we go back to wood? Historically, we can't find any documentation that it had a different type of door or a different look. So we don't know yet.
This is not the original door that's there.
It's not the original door.
It
No,
was changed when Steve Benko was.
that's correct. This is a non-commercial door. We put in basically a residential door there. But when we look at previous photos,
Right.
he was close to what the look was. So
Right.
we're trying to find out, trying to look and see what was it and can we match the historic side of it versus what's there, but they're very similar. So, then the next thing we have $875,000 for the powerhouse reconstruction. This is the town's contribution to the town players in New Canaan for the work at the powerhouse. That work is slated to be upwards of $3 million. The town is capped at 1.5 million. The town players would be at 1.5 million plus whatever the project is. We have allocated in the past monies associated with it, so we have $625,000 allocated. This is the town's contribution once they meet their funding goals. So when they meet their funding goals and they're ready to go to construction, the town's looking at this portion of the work.
So I met with them and this was in December and they were within $100,000 of their funding goal. So they're doing pretty well.
They are doing quite well. They're a little less than that now. But they are looking at some tweaks to their design, basement underneath the annex and things like that. That might drive up the cost. They are hiring a professional cost estimator. We told them to hire a professional cost estimator. So that we could get a better look. So the design documents are done, not the bid documents, but schematic design development, and then bid documents. We're done with the design documents. So the estimator can have those, and then they might be tweaked slightly going to bid. But the estimator is as close as you can get at present, so we're hoping for that number to come back within the next couple of weeks. Excuse me, before the Board of Finance finishes their review. The town player is hoping to have that number, so we can come to the Board of Finance and tell them what the number is, but that's the plan.
Yeah.
Right. Then we have $550,000 for the education building at the Nature Center. This is Bill Flynn, I think, came and spoke to everybody about it, but he has a plan to put in some additional classrooms in the education building. The town has responsibility for ADA accessibility and then accessible bathrooms. So this is a split project between town and the Nature Center. It's currently under design, and we're working towards finishing that design and then going forward.
Are you doing the design through your department?
No, that's being done through Architecture Preservation Studios. We don't design.
But is that being paid by the town or by the Nature Center?
It's, I'll have to check. I think some of the design is being paid by the town, some of the design is being paid by the Nature Center, but I'll check. The center school lighting, that's a typo, I apologize, I didn't take it off the screen. And then we have basically phase one engineering for both the animal control building and what we call the old incinerator building at the transfer station. So, but the animal control building is actually the old incinerator building, because it was an incinerator building in the 1950s. It got decommissioned in 1970 when the incinerator building came online, and the incinerator was decommissioned in 1998. Both buildings are still on the campus, though. The old building, the brick building, serves as the animal control building. The newer building serves as our salt storage area and offices for the swap shop, and it sits directly over the top of the highway department. So where the ash bin was for the old the incinerator building sits over the top of the lunchroom from the highway department. But the one building is 70 years old, 75 years old, and the other building is 50, 55, 56 years old. Eventually they're gonna have to come down. Both of them were incinerators, both of them are gonna have environmental aspects associated with it. We've got to start the process at some point in time. And the thought is to take these two buildings down, and if we do that and we deck out over where the highway department is, we gain back about an acre of land. An acre of land in town is a huge amount of money. So, and it would be a big boom for the department, because we could put up a proper salt storage area. And if we wanted to do an animal control building, we could do that. We could have a proper salt. We could put up a nice facility for the swap shop, things of that nature. But we would gain back about an acre of land in that area. Right now, our salt storage area, that's what, it's not a salt barn, it's not a salt dome, it's just a storage area where the garbage used to go into the incinerator. It sits inside there, and we can store about 1,800 tons of salt. Our annual order is 3,000 tons a year, so we're reliant upon getting deliveries. And right now, there's no salt in New Haven at the Gateway Terminal. We went there on Friday and got the last 225 tons coming out of the terminal. There's nothing left. There's municipalities up and down the state waiting for material. There's no material to be had. So had we gotten the storm that we missed this past weekend, we would have been very close to being in trouble. We have enough material for about 2 storms left in the bin. But if we had a proper salt storage area, I could get my entire allotment for the year and not have to worry. So there's other municipalities that their barn holds exactly what their average is for the year. They never have to do it. We're not in that situation. But regardless, the buildings are just not suited for what they're being used for. And we're looking at having to do some large capital expenditures on the buildings, and I don't think it's worthy. The animal control building needs a new roof, $100,000 or more for a new roof on an old brick building that's housing your animal control building. It would almost be better to knock it down, get rid of it, and either find another way to handle the animals, or do a purpose-built building in the area. But this is just for the phase, for the initial environmental phasing and to start the initial engineering.
How much, how much do you estimate a project to cost? To take down the building,
4.5 million.
with taking them down?
Take it down and hopefully put exactly what it's talking, but that number is old. So that number is 3-4 years old, 5 years old now.
But does that include the animal care?
No, it
and
doesn't include
the
putting
swap
stuff
stuff?
back on. Doesn't include putting stuff back on it. It includes taking them down, disposing of them and putting a deck out. Not what you put back on it.
Not
So,
the salt shed?
not a salt dome or the salt barn, not a swap shop, not an animal control building, those would be extra. It's just to take the building down. Because of where it sits and what it housed for 20 years, 30 years. You know, it's gonna be an environmental clean, what's gonna be.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, should have been taken down at the time that it decommissioned. It was. So, any other questions on town buildings?
Just a comment, Tiger, on the center school lighting, that was in the budget for.
That's a typo. I forgot to take that out. So
Oh,
that
good.
was last year. So, sorry.
Great, okay.
And then if we go to the highway department, the request is 719,000, down from the 1.1 or 1.2 from last year. It's a standard dump sander, two-wheel drive dump sander. The one we're replacing is a 2011, with 61,000 miles for 7,000 hours that fought 222 storms. And then we have a pickup truck. I'd say it's actually a low board for 95,000. There's a typo in here as well. There was 2018 model for 59,000 miles. And then we're asking for a skid steer. We don't have a skid steer, but this will help us with our sidewalk, snow removal, drainage, anything of that nature. We have a 20-ton tag-along trailer that'll help us move our equipment. That's a new ad, 52,000. And then the normal items of equipment refurbishing, road striping, the salt brine tank is a replacement, and then the fuel dispensing unit is $87,000. That's to replace our gas and our diesel pumps. During the last storm, our diesel pumps went down. So in order to fill our trucks out of our tanks, we had to put a pony pump inside the tank and have a mechanic standing out there filling the trucks as they came in. Normally they just fill up when they need to. This way we had to have a caravan of trucks, so we don't want the mechanic to have to run out there every hour or so. So we had to basically jury rig a way to get our fuel out in order to keep our trucks running. So it's a timely add to the budget itself.
How many pickups are we talking about?
I've got 13 large vehicles that are diesel. The pickup trucks and the low boys are gas. But the diesel is all our equipment and all our large trucks. So we've got 218 pieces of rolling stock between the different departments. So I would say not all of them are diesel, but the majority.
Yeah. I would just add the number of pickups because it says one pickup basically 475.
No, that's right. Well, it's $95,000 for a $95,000 for a low boy. You know, sorry, I didn't catch that.
So it's not for.
No, it's not 475. No.
And it's
That
just
was-
one?
It's just one
Okay.
truck. Yeah. And if you want to know what last year, what we bought for that $640,000, this is what we bought, which is almost the exact duplicate of the picture that I used at the time when we asked for the money. But we received this on December 12th. This is our new unit, our new sewer vac unit. That'll help us throughout the year as far as, so you were asking about the MS4 or I&I study.
Right.
This will help with both of those. And then the next is the transfer station. We have $30,000 for foam filled replacement tires for our loader. So we got two loaders that we work off of up at the station. We try to balance the load between the two. One has foam filled tires, one has our solid tires. The solid tires need to be replaced. The thought is that if we can get the foam filled unit, it's easier on the machine, and then I can push the replacement of a loader out another year or two. So I had the replacement of a loader in the next year. I'm looking at pushing it out at least a year or two to because I won't have such wear and tear on the vehicle itself. And then I can reuse the loader tires on the next loader. You can take them off and bring them to the next loader, so they won't go to waste. And then Parks Maintenance, John's gonna go through his budget with you guys on your side, Jen, as well as recreation. And then we're on to the wastewater plant. So this, Christina, is your point about in the budget itself, the request is 1.2 million. We have various pumps that we need to replace for 36,000. We have our motor control, electrical rehab. This is phase 2 of the work. Kind of to your question about the zinc study, we have $20,000 annually for our consultant to continue to look at different ways to reduce the zinc and the phosphorus. So therefore, if the permit comes back asking us to reduce it more, we have ways to reduce it without the capital expenditure. Or we have an argument to the DEP saying we've done everything we possibly can to get it down to this level, and then to fight the change in limits. And then we have the inflow and infiltration project. We've got the next phase of engineering and the next phase of remediation. Then we have $100,000 for sewer relining various lines in town. We've got 33 miles of sewer lines in town, and it's in our best interest when and where to replace them. The majority of them are 8 to 12 feet deep, so it's very expensive to have to dig them out. And then we have our polymer system. That's an existing unit, 28 years old. It's being replaced. We replaced our previous system number 1 last year, and we're asking to replace system number 2 this year. And that's it. We might hit it right out of time. 12:58. I'm doing pretty good.
Really, really good. Half hour for each section.
All right. So the so that kind of, I don't know if there's other questions, but right now, overall, like I said, we're at a 1.02% without the sewer department. Our increase overall is 17.5. That's because of the 35% increase in capital. I imagine that's going to come down through the Board of Finance deliberations, and our overall increase would be somewhat less than that. That's where we're at. Any other questions or things you guys need?
Yeah, I got a quick question, Tiger. I guess with the recent storms and the much colder weather, in addition to all the salt usage, have you considered that in the budget, or have you upped that in the budget, or have you not factored that really in and considered just what's happened?
It's a great question. So we don't budget for storms. So what we do is we have our kind of our annual usage and an annual allotment towards some of the like say storm work, but we don't budget for. We don't say, well, our 3-year average is this, and we budget for it. We basically, the Board of Finance, a decade ago or more, just said, when you need it, come back and ask. So we get a small allotment for our overtime. Right now, we are 100% complete. We've used up our budget for the year, right? So I need about another $73,000, $75,000 in order to carry me through a normal February through May or through June. And that includes, garbage pickup on a Saturday, some sweeping, because we can only sweep in the early mornings. Certain areas I can only cut grass on a weekend, like Town and Show parking lots and other parking lots I can only cut on the weekend, because if I cut during the weekday, they're full, right? So I don't want to throw a rock onto a car, damage a car, throw grass all over the car. It's hard for the guy to manage trying to cut grass inside those areas. So there's some mandatory overtime that I have in order to just maintain what we've got. So we're putting together a spreadsheet right now to show where we are and where we hope to be by June 30 and what we'll need to carry. Right now, we don't think we're going to need any more money for salt. The overtime is really, each storm has been a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Monday of a holiday, right? So the Sundays are killing us, right? So, and the Saturdays, are killing us as well. So, because I don't get any benefit for, like, if it falls on a Tuesday and it falls at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday,
he's salaried until he hits, 3:30, whereas Saturday's all overtime. So while we don't budget for it, everyone's cognizant of the fact that, yeah, there'll be some additional monies needed, and usually Ann carries that in the contingency. So it's not in the budget, because I don't want it to affect the budget going up and down. I don't want that, I don't want it to be where, my budget increases by 5% one year because of storms, and then the next year it looks like I have a reduction in my budget, but I really don't. I don't like to play numbers games like that. I rather just have it be where year over year it's consistent. And then these anomalies are carried elsewhere. Especially if I can't predict them. If I can't, so.
Yeah.
That's a great
Okay.
point. But that's the overall thought process. It's the overall kind of the way we've been attacking it for at least a decade, if not more.
Okay, just for, I guess, my edification, you
Sure.
said we're running probably about, from the storms, about 75 over? Is that?
No, so I'm gonna need, right now, I'm probably gonna need about 75,000 or more just to get me through the end of the year. Doesn't, if it snows next week, that's gonna be additional, it's really what our normal spend from a February to June was about 75 grand.
Okay.
But it really doesn't include any kind of anomalies as far as storms in there. The majority of that work is all come March, April, May, June, general maintenance. But our overall allotment for the year, we're at zero. So we spent it all at present.
Okay, so we got to keep our fingers crossed there's no more storms.
Yeah.
That's about
Okay.
where we're at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
You guys have
Gotcha.
done a really great job. I mean, the roads have always been fantastic, so really good.
I think that all the departments did a fantastic job. Highway, parks, transportation, wastewater. The parks did a great job on the sidewalks. Highway does a nice job on the roads. There was a definite difference between us and our neighbors.
Yep.
When we left on Sunday through the storm, Monday, leaving the storm, you could see it, and people had noticed it, which was nice, which was a nice thing.
I could really see it where we are, 'cause North Wilton is so bad, and you guys were so constant. You just never let it get too much, and so.
Yeah. My time came at 8:00, 8:00 in the morning, Sunday morning to pre-treat. And I didn't see another plow till 4:30 in the morning on Monday. Come back, go on 17 inches of snow.
Crazy.
Never saw him. So, what do you do with that? It's basically,
No, that's the way we could get out.
What?
We could get out Monday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could go. Yeah, there was no way. Unfortunately, but yeah, and some of our surrounding towns were very similar.
Tiger, I have a question for you. The intersection, the triangular intersection, Michigan and North Wilton Road, where St. Luke's buses come through, traffic is coming from both directions. Is there any plans to redo that intersection?
No, so it's a state road, right? So 123 is a state road.
No, not 123. It's North Wilton and Michigan.
North Whitman. Oh, so right there, that one little triangle.
Yes.
We haven't had any thought. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the larger.
It's very dangerous.
It's so blind, like you just.
We can go look at it.
Yeah.
The homeowner that's there wanted to do some work that we said no to, because it was going to be detrimental to the sightlines. So we did say no to the new homeowner that was there, because it was working the right way. They want to change their driveway and a couple of other things. So we said no, but we'll go back out and take a look. I haven't got any complaints on it. To be perfectly honest with you, I haven't, but you guys are saying it together, so we'll come.
It's interesting. I never complain about it, but I kind of hold my breath.
Yes.
Oh, you gotta let us know, because we'll come up and take a look, I thought you were talking about, so where North Wilton meets 123, or where Michigan Road meets
Yeah.
123.
No,
because those both, right, we opened up a sight line where Michigan meets 123, and it's much more open, but I think it also contributes to higher speeds, because now it's much more open, so the speeds are a little bit higher in there. But that was the problem, where cars would get T-boned all the time.
You have to.
Oh,
You go take a look.
I mean, sort of related because it's in the same area. I live up on Briscoe, not too far from there. The kids who leave St. Luke's speed up Briscoe at like 50 plus miles per hour often. It's I don't know what we could do. I've called the police. You know, they put that little speedometer
Yeah.
thing up, right? But it's just an ongoing problem. I just, if anybody's walking out on that road, you're taking your life in your hands, especially at 3:30.
There are a lot of dog walkers out on that road too. I've been-
Yep.
You would think it's nice and quiet,
Yeah,
you
you
would think it's nice and quiet, but during that time, most likely not. They're, you're headed to the hills at that point.
A speed camera.
Yeah, well, the speed sentries give it, so there's actually data, so it downloads the data, so we get the 50th percentile, the 85th percentile, you can tell when there's a violator, you can see the number of cars, you can see all that on the report, so it's to help the police with enforcement, because
Right.
the time, when the times are, right, because it's 3:30 on
Right.
a Friday, but say it wasn't that, we would be able to then, based upon that report, find out exactly when it is. Is it noon time? Is it 10 o'clock in the morning? We have different roads that have different speeds, different problem times. But
I do think it sounds like a police thing in a sense, because I've noticed people really also speed on Lambert and all of a sudden now they have they have some hidden, I just think they need to kind of scare
Yeah,
them.
they gotta put, they have a dedicated traffic enforcement officer now that I'm aware of, and they, and that, he's doing a nice job, he's targeting certain areas. But I'll talk to the chief and let him know about that one, then Marie and I will come out and take a look at, Michigan and North Will. So,
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, we'll go take a look at that.
Can I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, second.
Yep. Second.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Alright.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You just gotta, record.
I want to watch you. Where's the thing?
And,
Yeah, you had it for a second
Right
there.
there.
yeah.
Where does it keep going?
There we go.